They say money changes people, but in my case, it revealed them. My name is Irma Anderson, and I used to believe that if you worked hard enough, stayed quiet enough, and sacrificed long enough, life would eventually reward you. I was wrong. At 28, my life looked ordinary from the outside. A small apartment, a stable office job, and a routine that never changed. I worked in an insurance company during the day, and at night I drove rideshare just to stretch every dollar a little further. People used to ask me, "Why are you always tired?" I never knew how to answer without sounding bitter, because the truth was simple. I was building a future that no one else in my family seemed to care about. I had one goal: a house. Not luxury, not status, just a place that was mine. A place where I wouldn't have to hear footsteps outside my room and wonder if someone was about to take something from me again. So I saved. Slowly, painfully, quietly. While my friends went on trips, I worked overtime. While others bought new clothes, I stitched mine and wore them a little longer. While my coworkers posted brunch pictures, I ate instant noodles in my car between shifts. Every dollar had a purpose. Every sacrifice had a destination. By the time I reached $42,000, I stopped telling people about my plans. Even family. Especially family. Because in my house, success didn't get celebrated, it got redirected. My younger sister, Lena, lived a completely different life. She cried and things got fixed. She complained and people listened. She wanted something and somehow it appeared. And me? I adapted. I adjusted. I survived. My parents used to call me strong. I used to think it was a compliment. Now I realize it was just a way of saying, "We expect less from you, so we take more." The first crack appeared on an ordinary Tuesday. My mother called me over for dinner. Nothing unusual. I almost didn't go, but something in her tone felt off. Too sweet. Too careful. When I arrived, everything looked normal. Too normal. My father kept talking about family plans. My mother kept smiling at Lena like she was glowing from something I didn't understand yet. Then I saw it. On Lena's phone screen. A black luxury car. Shiny. Expensive. Unreal. Audi Q5. She said casually, like she was talking about a handbag. "It drives so smoothly. I think I'm going to get it." I remember laughing slightly because I thought it was a joke. But no one else laughed. My mother leaned in like she was proud. My father nodded like it was reasonable. And me? I just sat there, watching a moment I didn't fully understand yet, but would never forget. Because that night, something inside me shifted. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly, like a door closing that you didn't even realize was open. And I should have known then that my savings were no longer just mine, and neither was my future. After that dinner, I couldn't sleep properly. It wasn't just what I saw. It was the way they all looked at it like it already belonged to Lena, like the decision had already been made somewhere without me. Still, I tried to ignore it. I told myself I was being paranoid. Maybe it was just talk. People say things all the time they don't mean. But deep down, I felt something tightening in my chest. A warning. 2 days later, my father called me into his study. He was unusually calm. That calm that never meant peace in our house. It meant control. "I've been thinking about your savings," he said. That sentence alone made my stomach drop. "My savings are fine," I replied carefully. He smiled slightly. "Of course they are, but we could grow them faster. Better interest rates. A joint high-yield structure. Just paperwork." Paperwork. That word has ruined more lives than people realize. My mother stepped in from behind him. "It's just a formality, Irma. Your father is helping you secure your future." Helping. That word felt heavy in her mouth. I hesitated. I should have said no. I should have walked away right there. But I didn't. Because in families like mine, refusing help always sounded like disrespect. So I signed. 1 page. Then another. Then a signature that felt too small to matter. My father patted my shoulder afterward. "You'll thank me later," he said. I believed him. That was my mistake. Life continued as usual after that. Work, shifts, exhaustion. But something in the background had changed. I just didn't know it yet. Until Monday morning. I was sitting in my car outside work, eating half a granola bar before my shift, when I opened my banking app. At first, I didn't understand what I was seeing. The screen loaded, refreshed, loaded again. $0. No balance. No pending. No trace. Just empty. For a full minute, I didn't move. My brain refused to process it. Then I called the bank. The woman on the line sounded calm, rehearsed. The funds were transferred from your joint account by the authorized co-owner. Authorized co-owner. My father. The phone slipped slightly in my hand. That's not possible, I said quietly. I'm sorry, she replied. But it was fully permitted under the agreement. I hung up before she could say anything else. And for a moment, everything around me went silent. Not metaphorically, literally silent, like the world had stepped back to watch. $42,812. Gone. Years of missed birthdays, skipped meals, night shifts, exhaustion, all reduced to a single transaction I never agreed to understand. I sat there in my car for a long time. Then I whispered to myself, No, this isn't real. But deep down I already knew. This wasn't a mistake. This was a decision. And I was the only one who wasn't included in it. I didn't remember driving to my parents' house. I only remember the feeling in my hands on the steering wheel. Tight. Numb. Like my body was moving while my mind stayed somewhere behind. I kept telling myself there had to be a mistake. Banks make mistakes. Systems glitch. Transfers delay. But none of those explanations survived what I saw when I pulled up. My parents' house looked exactly the same as always. Clean driveway. Trimmed lawn, calm silence. Except for one thing. Parked right in front of the garage was a brand new luxury car. Midnight black. Shiny enough to reflect the sky. A dealer plate still attached. And suddenly, everything made sense in the worst possible way. My stomach dropped so hard I had to grip the steering wheel just to stay upright. No, I whispered, but my body was already moving before my thoughts caught up. I got out of the car and walked toward the house. Each step felt heavier than the last. When I opened the door, the smell of tea and food hit me like nothing was wrong in the world. Like my entire life hadn't just collapsed. My mother was in the kitchen. My father was sitting at the table. And Lena, my sister, was scrolling on her phone like she didn't know reality anything. No one said anything at first. That silence told me everything they were trying to hide. Then I held up my phone. I checked my account. I said quietly. My father didn't even blink. And there it was. Not shock. Not confusion. Just expectation. Like this conversation had already been rehearsed. My savings are gone, I said. Lena finally looked up, but not with guilt. With irritation. Oh, she said. Like I was talking about a missing receipt. You saw that. My mother sighed softly. Irma, don't make this bigger than it is. Bigger than it is. I almost laughed. My entire account is empty, I said. $42,000. Gone. Tell me how that is not big. My father leaned back in his chair. It was a family decision, he said calmly. That sentence hit harder than anything else. Family decision. Not mine. Not discussed with me. Just taken. Lena crossed her legs like she was bored. I needed a safe car. Mine was unreliable. A safe car. Bought with my future. I turned slowly toward her. So you use my house fund? She shrugged. Technically, it was a joint account. That word again. Technically. My mother stepped in quickly, like she always did when things got uncomfortable. Lena has been through a lot, she said softly. You're strong, Irma. You can rebuild it. There it was. The pattern. She struggles, they protect her. I struggle, I survive. And somehow that was supposed to be fair. I looked at all three of them, waiting for someone, anyone, but no one apologized. No one even looked ashamed. That's when I felt it. Not anger, not sadness. Something colder, something quieter. like a switch turning off inside me. "You didn't ask me," I said. My father frowned slightly. "We didn't think you'd refuse." That was the moment. The sentence that broke something I didn't even know was still holding. Not because they took my money, but because they were sure I wouldn't matter if they did. I nodded slowly. "I see." And for the first time in my life, I stopped explaining myself to them. I turned and walked out of the house. No shouting, no tears, just footsteps, and a silence they suddenly didn't know how to fill. I didn't cry when I left that house. That surprised me later, because I thought I would. I thought there would be anger, shaking hands, maybe even begging. But there was nothing like that. Just silence. The kind that doesn't hurt at first, because it hasn't fully caught up to you yet. That night, I sat in my apartment staring at the wall for a long time. Not thinking, just replaying. Their faces, their words, that calm, rehearsed confidence like what they did was normal. Like I was the one being unreasonable for noticing. Then my phone lit up. Lena posted the car. Of course she did. A glossy photo. Her sitting on the hood, like she had earned it. Caption: "Sometimes you just have to upgrade your life." Comments flooded instantly. "Queen energy. You deserve this. Hard work pays off." I stared at it longer than I should have, because none of them knew the truth. Or maybe worse, they didn't care. I closed the app, and that's when something changed. Not emotionally, practically. I opened my laptop, logged into every account I had ever connected to that family structure. Joint records, bank links, old trust documentation. My father's favorite phrase echoed in my head: "Just paperwork." So I started reading the paperwork, really reading it, for the first time, line by line, and I found something they didn't think I would ever look for. A clause, hidden in legal language, so clean it almost looked invisible. Clause 14C. It gave co-beneficiaries the right to suspend distributions in case of unauthorized withdrawal or misuse. I read it twice, then a third time. My heartbeat didn't speed up. It steadied, because this wasn't emotion anymore. This was structure. The next morning, I didn't go to work. Instead, I called the credit union. Calm voice. Clear request. "I want to file a formal review of a trust-related withdrawal." No drama, no accusations, just procedure. Then I emailed the state lawyer listed in the documents. Subject line: Trust Disbursement Verification Request. I didn't say they stole. I didn't say my family betrayed me. I just asked for records. For clarity. For transparency. Because the truth is, people only call you dramatic until paperwork starts speaking louder than you. By afternoon, I got a response. Short, formal. "Your request has been received. A temporary review can be initiated under Clause 14C, pending beneficiary authorization confirmation." I read that line again. Temporary review. That meant pause. Freeze. Containment. I leaned back in my chair slowly. Not smiling. Not crying. Just understanding. For the first time, I wasn't reacting to what they did. I was responding to it. Strategically. And somewhere across town, they still thought I was upset. They still thought I was emotional. They still thought I was just hurt. They had no idea I had already stopped being hurt and started being precise. The first call came early in the morning. My father. I didn't answer. Then my mother. Then Lena. Then my father again. By the fourth call, I already knew something had shifted. Not in me. In them. So I waited. I made coffee. Sat by the window. Watched the street like nothing in my life had changed. Because technically, in that moment, I was still the same Irma they always assumed I would be. Quiet. Available. Understandable. But behind the scenes, everything was already moving. The trust review had been activated. Clause 14C wasn't just a warning. It was a mechanism. And mechanisms don't ask for permission once triggered. By noon, I finally picked up the phone. My father didn't even say hello properly. "What did you do?" he asked immediately. Not "Are you okay?" Not "Can we talk?" Just that. I stayed quiet for a second. Then I said calmly, "I followed procedure." Silence. Then my mother's voice in the background, sharper than I'd ever heard it. What procedure? I could almost picture her standing in the kitchen, phone on speaker, panic building behind her carefully controlled tone. The trust review procedure, I said. Another silence. A longer one this time. Then Lena suddenly loud. Why is my car payment being flagged? That was the moment I knew. It had started. Not emotionally. Financially. I leaned back in my chair. Because the funds are under review, I said simply. You can't do that, she snapped. That's my car. No, I replied softly. It's not. My father cut in immediately, voice tighter now. Irma, this is getting out of control. Out of control. Funny word, because nothing about this had been chaotic on my side. It was documented, structured, legal. I didn't steal anything, I said. I just asked the system to verify what happened. That word again. System. Because unlike them, I didn't need arguments. I needed records. By evening, the tone of their messages changed completely. My mother texted first. Please call us. This is affecting the mortgage. Then Lena. Are you seriously doing this over money? Then my father. Shorter. Colder. We need to fix this now. Fix. As if I was the problem. As if I was the error in a system they had already broken. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my laptop. The audit report had started generating. Transactions were being flagged. Authorization, mismatches highlighted. The dealership had been contacted for verification of loan funding. And once that started, there was no pause button. Because systems don't care about feelings. They care about compliance. That night, I got a call from an unknown number. I answered. A man's voice. Professional. Careful. This is your family's financial advisor. I need to inform you that the trust suspension has impacted multiple linked accounts. I'm aware, I said. A pause. Then he continued, more cautiously now. These kinds of holds can create serious instability for families. There it was again. Instability. As if consequences were something unfair. As if they had happened randomly. I spoke slowly. They should have thought about that before they used my funds without consent. Silence. Then he said, I understand. But he didn't argue after that. Because deep down, even he knew this wasn't emotional anymore. It was procedural. And procedures don't care who is comfortable. By the time I ended the call, I felt something I didn't expect. Not power. Not revenge. Just distance. Like I was finally standing outside a system I used to be trapped inside. And inside that system, they were starting to realize they couldn't just talk their way out anymore. They showed up at my door just after sunset. No warning. No message. Just 3 knocks, soft, uncertain. Like they weren't sure I would even open it. But I did. My mother stood in the middle. My father slightly behind her. Lena off to the side. Arms folded tightly. Like she was trying to hold herself together. For a second, none of them spoke. They looked smaller. Not physically. Just less certain than I had ever seen them. Finally, my mother broke the silence. Can we come in? She asked quietly. I didn't move. No, I said. Simple. Clean. Final. My father exhaled sharply. Like he had been holding frustration for days. Irma, this is not how family handles things. That word again. Family. The same word they used when they needed something from me. I looked at him. Funny, I said softly, because family is exactly how this started. Silence. Lena stepped forward, her voice cracking slightly. They're going to lose the house. I nodded once. I know. My mother's eyes filled instantly. We didn't think it would go this far. I almost laughed. Almost. That's the problem, I said. You never think it will. My father tried again, more controlled now. We made a mistake. But you've made your point. I shook my head slowly. This isn't a point. A pause. Then I added, it's consequences. That word hit differently. I could see it in their faces. Not anger anymore. Understanding. And fear. Lena's voice dropped. I didn't think you'd actually do something like this. I turned to her fully. For the first time, I didn't feel emotional looking at her. Just clear. You thought I would stay quiet, I said. She didn't answer. Because I was right. My father stepped forward again, softer now. What do you want, Irma? That question. Finally. Not accusation. Not control. Just surrender disguised as negotiation. I reached behind me and picked up an envelope from the table. I handed it to him. What is this? He asked. Open it, I said. He did. Slowly. And as he read, his expression changed. First confusion. Then disbelief. Then realization. My mother leaned in. What is it? My father's voice came out lower. She's removing herself from the trust. Lena blinked. What does that mean? I answered before he could. It means I'm no longer tied to your financial decisions. I said calmly. No co-beneficiary access. No obligations. No dependency. My mother shook her head quickly. Irma, don't do this. I met her eyes. This already happened, I said. A long silence followed, the kind where no one argues because they finally understand arguing won't change anything anymore. Lena's voice broke slightly. So you're just leaving us? I looked at her. Not angry. Not cruel. Just honest. I'm leaving what you turned me into, I said quietly. No one spoke after that, because there was nothing left to say that didn't sound like excuse. I stepped back and held the door slightly open. Not dramatic. Not forceful. Just final. My father looked at me one last time. You're really doing this? I nodded. Yes. My mother whispered my name, like she still thought it could undo everything. But I didn't respond, because for the first time in my life, I didn't feel responsible for holding everything together. They stood there for a few seconds longer. Then slowly, one by one, they turned away. No shouting. No collapse. Just footsteps fading into the evening air. And when the street went quiet again, I closed the door. Not hard. Not emotional. Just a soft click. And in that silence, I realized something I had never understood before. Peace doesn't always feel like happiness. Sometimes it just feels like finally not being available to people who kept taking you for granted. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't the strong one holding everything up. I was just someone who finally let go.